and I'm going to open some war comics. I like to work with the covers because they tend to have the highest resolution for a single image. When you're working with the panels inside the comics, they're going to be real low res anyways because they're formatted for the computer screen, and also they're going to be low res because they're much smaller than the large image on the cover. So I'm going to use Photoshop's selection tools to draw marquee outlines around whatever my main thing is, and I'm going to pull apart the soldier on the cover with the machine gun here. There's more than one selection tool, so right now I'm in the freehand lasso, which lets you draw pretty random shapes with your mouse. There's one that's a polygonal lasso that creates straight-lined shapes, and there's the color sampling selector. All of these are right next to each other in the upper part of the Photoshop toolkit, and I'm going to use whichever one works at the time. For example, to get inside this scope, I'm going to need to do polygonal lasso because it's already a rectangular shape and it's a lot easier to just draw that rectangle and delete. Most people would think to draw the outlines around the character, but there is some cleanup involved. The edges of this paper aren't going to help me at all. And if this is the only layer I'm working with, on the layers palette to the lower right, I'm going to need to unlock that layer so I get this empty space behind my guy. That's the gray and white checkerboard you see behind him. We call that the alpha. Once I've cut out my person, I'm going to do some cleanup inside, get rid of this text, and I'm using the stamp tool. Now, for healing and cloning, there's a healing brush tool that looks like a band-aid, and then there's the rubber stamp. For our purposes, because this is a graphic, it makes more sense to use the stamp tool than the healing brush tool. Now I'm going to get deep inside the nitty-gritty. I'm using the magnetic lasso in this case because it's going to conform to the edges of my character. Same thing here. Get around his knuckles. I'm going to use a polygonal lasso around his knuckles because I want to keep that black outline there. If I don't have the black outline, it's going to make his hand look a little weird. You can already see on his thumb that I'm missing the black outline. So I might actually go back and put a stroke around my character to make sure he has a consistent black outline all the way around him. Clean up these little bits of leftover clothes. If you are the illustrator of a piece and you're not just sampling a old comic like I am, you can make life a lot easier for yourself by drawing everything in layers that you plan on animating. Or if you draw with pencil and on Bristol board, then do things like draw the hand and the gun separately than the soldier's face. So I've moved the hand and the gun to another layer, and I'm going to build up a little space for the rest of him. I'm going to fill out his shirt, his chest area a little bit. That way when I move the gun around, you don't see the edge of the chest. It looks like there was more behind the hand and the gun than there really was. And I don't need to make a whole bunch of stuff. If my motion isn't going to be more than 10 pixels, then what I'm rebuilding here is more than enough.